Hi, welcome to another episode of Curtain Call Conversations. I'm here today with pantomime filmmaker, actor, and presenter Peter Duncan, who's just launched Treasure Island, Make Your Own Movie, which we'll talk about very shortly. But firstly, how are you?
I'm very well, actually. Yes, I'm now live in East Sussex, so
Oh,
I'm
nice.
in a new environment. Always looking out the window at nice sort of countryside, and the occasional sheep in the distance here. So
Oh, very
yes, I'm in a different state of mind to what I was for the rest any other part of my life, really.
yeah, yeah,
Do relax.
absolutely. Absolutely. So let's firstly talk about pantomime. I love it. It's like my favorite time of year as an art form. I think it's fantastic. So tell me where your love of pantomime came from.
Oh, well, my parents used to produce them, and I grew up with them as a
Ah,
child, not far from here in Tunbridge Wells, actually. So my mother was principal girl, my dad was the producer and the funny man. So it's very much part of my sort of my psyche, really. And I didn't really do it for years and years and years because I was a more sort of a proper, legitimate actor until my Blue Peter days, and then
yeah,
after that, I did lots of musicals, and eventually I got around not only being in pantos but producing them as well on stage. So so I've always been, it's inevitable, isn't it? Sometimes it's a bit like a family business. Sometimes you either love it or you hate it, and it's very hard to hate pantomime as hard work as it is. It
yeah,
does bring a certain joy and familiarity to our culture that we all seem to love. And of course, come the pandemic, when all the theatres closed, I very quickly put up this idea of creating an online filmed panto because I'd made film and TV stuff before,
yeah.
and it worked phenomenally well, really. I mean, we just got in before we were in serious proper lockdown, and this film
Mm,
went out. Our first one was Jack and the Beanstalk, and it went out to cinemas, and obviously it was streamed, and
yeah.
then we did another one called Cinderella, and then we did a third one called Pantoland, which is mixed of pantomimes, and this one is called Treasure Island, but with a difference.
Yeah, I mean the concept of it is brilliant. I mean, especially for kids. I mean, this is tailored towards schools, perhaps scouts and guides and those kind of groups. I mean, what do people do? I mean, it sounds wonderful.
Well, it is sort of tailored to schools and where there's groups of kids
Mm,
together, but it's very much also to do with families as well. I mean,
yeah,
it would make a great Christmas present if you decided New Year you wanted to make your own version of Treasure Island. But the
yeah,
concept of it is that because I'd made these films, from a sort of a fairly instinctive way of doing it and almost a minimalist way of doing it, and because young people today are particularly into doing stuff for TikTok and all the social
yeah,
media, it's an intuitive process now that you make something on your smartphone and you put various effects on it and you put it out and
yeah,
your audience watch it. So it was an extension of that to take a great book or a great tale, and because so many young people are interested in drama, and it was a way of taking those sort of drama clubs or families' interest in producing stuff and putting it into a short film that you make. And what we provide, what Panto Online provides you with, is a good sort of basis of a script. It provides you with songs and music, so you haven't got to do everything yourself. And then I've also
mm,
done all tutorials that show you how to do it, how to use a green screen, how to get the backdrop, where to get it from. But at the
yeah.
same time, a lot of the creative decisions that you will make as a group, or you'll do it at school in your drama club, or even really now for families at Christmas to buy as a present, and you just
Yeah.
you decide to make your own film.
I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, it's a brilliant, brilliant idea. I mean, when people have created their films, I mean, is there a sort of a platform on your website for them to publish them so
No,
people can see them?
what we're going to do next year, it depends how many people take it up, really. But we're going to have a Panto Online Oscar Film Festival.
Ah,
So we're going to take all the best ones and get some clever people to say what are the best ones, and then we'll
yeah.
put them. We'll have a sort of film,
Oh,
they do a film fair for Treasure Island, and,
yeah.
and then we'll have a winner and we'll present awards, and yeah, it'll be
Oh,
fun. I mean,
oh,
it's all about fun and being
yeah.
creative and doing your own thing. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
I mean, it.
it's a huge profession, is the filmmaking and theatre profession. And so
Mm.
many people are interested in being part of it. And when you're young, I think this is in a good way in.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, going back to your sort of journey with pantomime, do you remember your first professional pantomime? I know you do Dame quite a lot. Was it that role for you?
No, oddly, I'd just done he said modestly, a big film called Quilt with Anthony Newley and David Hemmings in the early
Wow.
70s, and 1974, and it was on at the local cinema. But it was also my dad persuaded me to be in his pantomime at Tunbridge Wells, so I was on in the cinema playing
Okay.
Kit Nubbles in the Old Curiosity Shop at the same time as playing Jack in Jack and the Beanstalk at
Oh, wow.
the theatre in Tunbridge Wells. So I think it was 1974. But then I didn't do it again for 20 years. It was only
Okay.
even longer. So that's a one-off that I did for him. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, was it, as I say there, you do play the dame. Is that a role that you sort of enjoy the most within Panto?
Well, I've only done that the last 4 or 5 years. It's partly
Oh, okay.
because it's comedic as well. You can be funny, and
Yeah.
I used to play things like Buttons, and I used to play the heroes initially because I was always a daring type person, daring persona,
Yeah.
and then I got into I loved the comedy roles, because trying to be funny is a huge skill in itself, really, and
Yeah.
something you have to learn as you do it, whether it's a play or a panto. Um, and I've been, I can prattle on for hours.
Please
Being a
do.
great lover, I did a big musical once about Charlie Chaplin and a
Yeah.
play about Laurel and Hardy. So I was very much into the old school of performing, really.
Mm.
But the Dame thing came because it seemed an obvious step, because you can do the comedy, and also there's the kind of, if you're still allowed to say it, the campery,
Mm.
the dressing up, which seems to be very separate from the world of conflict now about gender, but it's just from back at Shakespeare's days, men used to
Yeah.
dress up as women. Now I think they had to in those days, but now lots of people like to dress up as the other sex, and either for fun or for entertainment, or because that's what it all
Mm.
seems to be melding into something, if you ask
Mm.
me.
Yeah. Yeah.
People
No,
should be
it
allowed to do what they want, but up to a point.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, we can't not talk about Blue Peter because,
Sure.
I mean, people will know your face instantly from that iconic kids TV show, me included. I mean, you were my presenter back in the day. So,
Surely
um,
not. You're far too
oh,
young.
oh, bless you. But I mean, the show in itself, I mean, it's just incredible. I mean, what was that experience like for you? I mean, getting to do so many different incredible things.
Well, I think it's because historically it had a huge influence, and there wasn't so many channels knocking
Mm,
about there. And for young people, it was a great, if you want to use the word, influencer, really. And it was well funded by the BBC, and it was put in place to really, inform and educate and entertain, to get to the BBC mantra of those days. And of
yeah,
course, it was. I come from being an actor into that world, and so there was a bit of a shift into being, talking into the lens and camera stuff.
yeah,
But of course, I loved it. I loved it because it had so much theatricality attached to it. And then, of course, then you had all these great expeditions to foreign countries, which was the early kind of travelogues,
yeah,
really. So it
yeah.
had so many ingredients, and it was very. I mean, though I did turn it down, I'd done a kids series with my pal Leslie Manville, and so when you're an actor and often Blue Peter comes calling, you look like the sort of personality that might be a presenter. But I did turn it down initially because I thought, no, I'm an actor, I can't do that. And
Right.
then a couple of years later, I saw the light, and so I did it 1980 to about mid to late 80s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, but in
Okay.
those days, it had a huge social influence, and
Mm,
always for good things, really, and showing people's creativity, and showing, often talking about what kids did, and which is
yeah.
what really led on to the being chief scout for a while before. It's
Oh, yeah,
thrilled.
cool. Yeah, oh, yes, of course. Yeah. I mean, it's just, I mean, as you say, sort of simpler times back then when, you used to get empty egg boxes and, make things with them, which, for kids today, I mean, they wouldn't have a clue what, if it's not on their phone. I think sometimes it's a bit
Well,
sad, really.
yeah, I think that was the part of doing Treasure Island, because you're being led by what young people do, and there's
Mm,
constant
yeah,
criticism of them being locked into their smartphones or their laptops, and
yeah.
and their tablets. And the Treasure Island idea was a way of getting people to actually use those skills,
Mm,
and make something a bit longer, and taking a great story like Treasure Island and turning it into your own film, and with all the skills that requires, of storytelling, of
yeah.
the visual eye, of being creative, and all kinds of ways. And there's these tutorials that we have to help you do that. So
Yeah.
it's an extension of what already exists in society. So it doesn't always have to be a short, quick film on TikTok or Instagram, or this is you're a movie maker, you know.
Yeah, it's exciting for kids to do something like that these days. It's just, well, they're the next generation, aren't they, of kids that hopefully we'd like them to go and watch a pantomime in the flesh as well, just to get that experience of being in a theatre. So to be able to create their own, I think is brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, people traditionally go to when you're young, you go to see a pantomime. That's usually the first thing, or you
Yeah.
join a drama club, and that's what gets you inspired. But we can't all be actors. We can't all do
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
It's a lot of people do it because they enjoy doing it. It's not like a job. It's a
Yeah.
pleasure, and if you make a living out of it, you're really lucky. But no one's really done it in film. I think they've done it as a sort of oddly, it's sort of, they all got a bit possessive of it. No, we're filmmakers, we make films. But actually,
Yeah.
the technology of green screens, of smartphones, simple editing techniques, of using, particularly with the green screen, the backdrops, you can be anywhere in the world doing what you want, really. So it's made filmmaking, it should make filmmaking, as the socials have done, it makes it more democratic. Really.
Yeah, I mean, with the pantomimes that you've got on this sort of package, if you like, do you write the whole thing? I mean, do you write the whole script personally?
I do. Yes,
You do?
initially you have to before, because you can. So when you make a film, you have to have the screenplay, and if it's a musical film, which pantomimes are, you have to write the songs, and you can't really use other people's songs because it costs a
Yeah.
fortune to sort of write your own music. But I don't do that alone. I obviously collaborate with lots of other creatives. And then you have to film it on location, and then you have to edit it, which is a whole process. And then you have to promote it, So our first film, Jack went out because all the cinemas were, not showing. All the big movie makers wouldn't put their films out. So Jack got into all the major cinema chains, which was, it just shows, my story is what you can do as a young person. You can have a go,
Yeah.
And who knows what will come out of it. And then we did another one, Cinderella, and then we did a third one. And so if you decide to buy Treasure Island, 55 quid, that's a pinch. Get the green and all the bits to go with it, and also you get the 3 previous films as well, so you can see how we got away and how we did it. And next year we plan to have a sort of a Treasure Island Film Festival. So all the best films will go into the film festival, and I'll get some important people to decide which is the winner. We'll invite them to London or wherever, and we'll have a celebration.
Sounds fabulous. I mean, the one during lockdown that you did you film that in your garden?
A lot of it, yes, because we had to sort of. I was trying to think of this morning. I was reading the report when all the everybody was prevaricating about locking down. So unfortunately, because of that prevarication, it gave us a little bit of a window to kind of get it done. But we were in a bubble at that time, or just about. I think the day we finished filming, we you really were in serious lockdown there. So we just got in time to make it. And of course, we didn't know it was going into cinemas, or we always wanted to stream it. But I took it to a friend of a friend who happened to run Everyman Cinemas, and he watched our footage, our pilot, and said, "Yes, I'll put it in the cinemas."
Wow.
Christmas, we were aghast. And then all the other chains that had nothing to put in the cinemas, they took it as well. So
wow.
It was a great story.
Yeah,
so
that's
this is what Treasure Island opportunity is. Who knows? You could be, if your film is innovative, fantastic.
Absolutely, yes. Could be the start of something big. I mean, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you, Peter. The details for everything that we've spoke about will be on the next slide. You can follow Panto online on the socials, and pantoonline.co.uk to purchase Treasure Island, which does make the perfect Christmas gift. So
and all the films too.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you so much for your time today, Peter. All right, take care. Take care.
Nice to talk to you. Bye.
And you. Bye-bye.